Germany's radical plan to deport terrorist sympathizers. Germany's government has proposed a controversial new law aimed at deporting individuals who express support for terrorist activities, even without a criminal conviction. The draft legislation, introduced in response to recent terrorist incidents and online hate speech, would allow authorities to consider deportations for those who approve of, condone, or glorify terrorist offenses. Interior Minister Nancy Faeser stated, quote, "It is very clear to us that Islamist agitators who are mentally living in the Stone Age have no place in our country." The proposal has sparked debate, with supporters viewing it as a necessary step to combat extremism, while critics argue it threatens freedom of speech and mirrors attacks used by authoritarian regimes. The law's introduction coincides with growing concerns about migration and national security in Germany. So, let us give a little background. Okay. So, a few months ago, maybe 2 months ago, there was an attack that happened, and this attack occurred by an Afghan migrant. And what was so interesting is when this attack occurred, all the media was framing the victim as like far right agitators. Well, now the reporting is saying actually the victim or victims was a group that was opposed to political Islam, and they were having like a tent or a demonstration against political Islam. Now, for context, this is after thousands of people marched in the streets of Hamburg demanding Sharia law in Germany and saying that they are done with a dictatorship of values, aka liberal values that are the foundation of the German Constitution. And it's a dictatorship of values because it promotes Islamophobia, because, actually it protects free expression. You follow the logic there? Okay, so thousands of people came out in support of Sharia law in Germany, and in response, a small handful of people decided to have a little protest against political Islam. Again, originally when this first happened, they were framed as far right. So, again, not correctly identifying that the far right people were the thousands of people marching in Hamburg, just as a side note. So what happened was an Afghan migrant attacked this demonstration against political Islam with a knife. And when this happened, the police originally, when reacting to this attack, went and tried to tackle the person that was actually the victim. And they let the attacker go for a split second. In that split second, the attacker comes around while the police is wrestling the victim to the ground and stabs the German police officer in the neck. And that police officer ended up succumbing to his injuries and dying. And this was an attack that really shook and shocked Germany. And what made matters worse is that apparently, because I don't speak German, I can't go browse German social media, but apparently there was a huge outpouring of support for the attacker, praising the attacker, glorifying the attacker, and so forth. And this shocked the German public and the German authorities and elected officials. And so in my investigation or research onto this news item, this incident was repeatedly cited as one of the inspirations for this newly drafted legislation. And so the idea is that if you are found to be online and praising, condoning, or glorifying terrorist Islamist violence, you forfeit your right to remain in Germany and be deported without a criminal conviction. And so I don't know what the path forward for this legislation is. Like, I don't know anything about the German civic structure. I'm not even going to pretend. So far, to my knowledge, this is just drafted legislation. Um, but what is so interesting, Armin, is that the authorities are being explicitly clear that this is about Islamist violence. They're not doing the thing where they try to couch it in being like all political violence is wrong and using loaded language to not actually say the thing. They're saying the thing. Interior Minister Nancy Faeser said, quote, "We are taking strong action against Islamist and anti-Semitic hate crime online, period." So they're being completely, sorry, go ahead.
So the same people who are saying this, they should come and apologize for calling people before them who said the same thing earlier, far right and fascist and bigots. Because this is Germany's government using the type of language and the type of goals that before this, very shortly before this, they will label their own citizens as bigots and racists and fascists and far right for exactly this. Are you going to come and say that we were wrong? Are you going to come and apologize? Are you going to come and say that we were behind, you were right, and maybe we should have taken you more seriously? Are you going to realize that you're still, even with this, you're still way behind what you're supposed to be doing? Do you think, Susie, they're going to come out and be like, yeah, okay, first of all, this is our position now, but also this was the position of people in Germany before us that we used to call far right, and now we're taking this position ourselves, and we apologize.
You're asking for
Are
way
they
too
going to say?
much. You're asking for
I'm asking for way.
way too much. You're asking for way
Okay.
too much. Are you kidding me? You think these people have shame?
Mm.
Come on, that'd be way too embarrassing. They have to save face. This is politics. Who are you kidding?
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is not about what's fair. That's cute. So there was some reporting
But
saying that people could face deportations for merely liking a social media post that praised, condoned, or glorified terrorist violence. The interior minister came out and said that that's not true. But
should be true.
basically, the and so I learned about this news when we covered last week the news that Germany is going to require people who are seeking naturalized citizenship to explicitly support Israel's right to existence to be able to receive German citizenship because they are reforming some of the pathways to immigration in Germany. Basically, if you are viewed to be highly integrated into German society, they're dropping the amount of years you need to be in Germany down to 5 years. They're also allowing you to keep a dual citizenship if you so deserve. And they're also seeking for more skilled workers. So this is one of their ways to help try to incentivize people who are highly skilled workers into Germany is allow them to keep their original citizenship. But the ideological screening to be allowed into naturalized citizenship in Germany is now becoming much more strict. So this is their way of trying to build a better filter. And so when it comes to that, the new naturalization law, here's a quote. The legislation stipulates that people being naturalized must be able to support themselves and their relatives. The existing law requires that would be citizens be committed to the free democratic fundamental order. And the new version specifies that anti Semitic and racist acts are incompatible with the free democratic fundamental order, which I thought was very interesting. Um, uh, Sorry, I was gonna find that other quote.
So,
Basically, the whole thing about the liking of the post is not entirely true. That was some misreporting that was out there.
well, I mean, first of all, how far do you think they actually would implement this? Like, do you think this is just for show? Because some people in the live chat were saying that these are just empty words. Kiko was saying, I think these are just empty words.
I was
Um, I,
reading a piece. Sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was reading a piece on Politico last week, and it was about Olaf Scholz's hard turn when it comes to these immigration issues. And basically, can I find it? Um there are a number of foreigners. Okay, let me read some statistics. There are currently about 230,000 people in Germany eligible for extradition. The government has granted most of them a status known as Dul- Duldung, or tolerated, given the impossibility of sending them back to their home countries. Because part of the issue is that if they deem that your country is unsafe, even if you've committed a crime, they will not return you to that country, primarily being Syria and Afghanistan. However, there are now motions to make it so that they can deport people to Syria and Afghanistan, even though they acknowledge that it's unsafe. Of the 230,000 tolerated foreigners, about 45,000 are slated for immediate extradition. Only 6% of this group comes from Afghanistan and Syria. In an effort to show the government is taking the issue seriously, Schultz has been trying to cut deals with third countries such as Uzbekistan to allow it to deport more migrants. So basically, they are implementing all these measures, but the question is, out of these hundreds of thousands of people who fall into the category where they could be deported, the actual rate of people being deported is quite small. But they
Hmm.
are implementing they're starting to talk about or begin implementing different measures to basically speed this up. But so far,
Hmm.
it's actually a pretty negligible. Or of this group, only 6% falls into the countries that people are primarily concerned about. So,
Right. So regarding this whole being a violations of people's free speech, okay, I have to mention this every time that this is not a violation of people's free speech because these people are not citizens of Germany, right? And
remaining in
you do
Germany is
not,
a privilege.
yes, free speech doesn't mean that you have the right to stay in Germany with whatever shitty ideas that you have. That is not part of free speech. Free speech means that as a citizen, a country with free that respects people the free speech of its citizens, the government cannot arrest you, cannot fine you, cannot torture you, cannot execute you, or cannot withhold protection from you because of the views that you have or the things that you have said. It does not mean that the people who are not even citizens of your country have the privilege of just coming here and staying here, even with whatever ideologies that they have. This has already been established with every country's citizenship test. If you are saying that this is a violation of free speech, just think about how absurd the conclusion of that would be. Because if this is a violation of people's free speech, then you should not have a citizenship test requiring people to respect certain values. Asking them the oath in your citizenship test would be a violation of people's freedom of expression or freedom of views. Because why? You could be like, no, I want to be a citizen without having these views, without being loyal to whatever you're asking me to be loyal to. If you think that's what free speech means, then all citizenship tests everywhere in the world should be illegal based on this standard. So, given that we have already established that a country has the right to filter people based on the ideas that they have, then this is not a violation of free speech. These are not German citizens. And given that we have already established that, I think this, I mean, even if they were serious with this, it doesn't go far enough at all. I don't think that it should go just with terror sympathizers. I think it should be anybody with illiberal values. If you do not respect LGBT rights, free speech. If you do not respect equality before the law between the sexes, if you do not agree with any of these, you should be out. You should be kicked out. And even if you are, we don't even have to ask you. If you demonstrate, like it shouldn't be based on you being honest. Like we ask you, hey, do you respect the fact that women should have equal rights in society? And you be like, sure, and then act differently. It should be based on any activity or any expression of views that you might have anywhere that indicates that your values are not in line with the values that we want in this country. Even if you don't say anything, if you like a post or do anything, if you mistreat your wife, for example, right? If you complain about, oh, I don't like this being taught in school to my child because this is not in line with my values, Islamic values. That by itself should be enough. Without any takebacks, you're out. You and your entire family is out. That's how I see it. Any form of, and anything that we see in your past, any form of expression of views that is contradicts liberal values means you're out. That's how far I go. You think I've gone too far? I can see from your face that you think I've gone too far at some
Well,
point.
just genuinely, what if people actually change their mind?
There needs to be the burden of proof is on them. There needs to be a very clear demonstration. Like it cannot be like, oh, those were my previous views. Now I have new views. No, 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 no. If you show, like, for example, years of activism, that is the opposite of that. You know, I'm sorry, maybe you change your views. I have a country to save. If I can't determine that you have changed your views, you're out. Okay. But if you have, like, if you have years of expressing the views opposite of that, or activism, or anything that could show, a judge has to decide that you have very, very solid evidence that now you have liberal views. Okay. That's how I think it should work. But here's the problem. What about the people who are already citizens and have these crappy values? Like, that is a different problem, right? And I'm sorry to tell you guys, I know a lot of you guys do not believe this. These people are not deportable. There's no world that you could think that we could just get rid of these people. And that's why you need to subscribe to this channel, because that is a disease that has already been internalized in your country, and there is no immigration policy that is going to get rid of that. Okay, so we need to go. So there's two problems: the people that you're letting in with really crappy ideas, but the people who are already in and are now citizens with very crappy ideas. And if you're dreaming about a day that maybe we could kick those out as well, then keep dreaming. You're not a serious person. If you understand anything about laws, you know that it's unreasonable to even think that we're ever going to get there, right? So be serious and realize that we need to go to war with this ideology, because just deport is not going to. I mean, we need to deport a ton of people. We need to stop immigration from Islamic countries, unless very rare cases. We need to deport all the people, not just terrorist sympathizers. That's way too far. Way too past the line that's problematic. You know what I mean? Not way too far. This is way past the line that they're terrorist sympathizers. Are you kidding me? Of course they should be deported. People who just say, like, hey, I think boys and girls should be separated in school because of my Islamic ideas. You're out. That's way before terrorist sympathizers. Way before terrorist sympathizers. Like, the fact that you have a terrorist sympathizer in your that shows that you haven't even, that shows a bigger problem that you should have stopped, that you didn't do your job. Everybody says, like, hey, I don't like I think being gay is a sin. I think gay stuff is sinning. Okay, out. I'm sorry, you're out. Okay, that's it. That's it. I think being gay is a sin. You're out of this country. Bye. Yeah. What? Sorry.
No,
Okay.
you can. There are people that I know that think that being gay is a sin, but they don't want the government involved. I'm fine with that.
No, being the government involved? What do you mean? Oh, okay. No, yeah. I'm sorry. No. Yeah, I'm fine with that if you're already a citizen, but I need any excuse I could get to kick people out. Do you understand? So this is, I, first of all, I'm not fine with that. What the hell? You are, even if you are not a problem, you are going to bring to the society a set of values that out of it, I mean, you might be like, you might think that I'm okay. I don't think government should be involved with that. But given that you're a family that believes that being gay is a sin, your children, the next generation is probably going to think that, oh yeah, I want the government involved with that. You know what I mean? So you're maybe the first generation that comes in feeling like, hey, being gay is a sin, but to each their own, no government involvement. You're a family that thinks that being gay is a sin. Your children would want Sharia. Your children would want the government involved. Your children is going to harass that other LGBT kid in class. Maybe it would, maybe it won't. But here's the thing: I'm not going to take a chance. My country is going to shit. Why should I gamble on you and your family? Like, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe this family is not going to be a problem. But why should I take a risk? Like, am I gambling with the lives of my citizens? I'm not going to gamble with that. I'm not going to take a risk. There's plenty of other people that don't have these. Like, I will find people. Like, if I'm going to bring anyone in, I will find people from other countries with less shitty ideas that will be as good for whatever job I'm bringing these people in, and don't think being gay is a sin. I will just bring those in. Why would I have to give you this opportunity to you? Bad ideas, you're out.
Yeah, I
Okay.
just don't know to what extent that falls under protected religious belief. That's
Protected religious,
my
but this
thing.
is for citizens.
I know,
Protected
but there
religious
still
beliefs is for
are
citizens.
international covenants. Anyways, I actually need to refresh my page because I'm getting a major lag with you. I'll be right back.
Okay. So while she's doing that, I will tell you there's three different battles. Okay. One battle is no migrations from Islamic countries unless very rare, unique cases. Okay. Two, people who are already in Germany or France or whatever, who are already in, they're not citizens and they have shitty ideas. Okay. And they have liked a post or did something somewhere that shows they have shitty ideas. They get kicked out. The third battle is the most intense one, the most difficult one, and that's our battle, me and you, because this third one, the government cannot, no government can get involved in this third one. So the first two is the maximum that we could ask from our government. The third one is an ideological battle, and that's what for again for the people who are in Germany or France or United Kingdom or United States. They're already citizens now, so you you cannot not let them in because they're already in. You cannot kick them out because they are citizens. But now we have to go and basically we have to target their children, okay? Because we have to go into an ideological battle into making these people either leave Islam or which is less, leaving Islam is a much smaller percentage of what we're trying to do, because what is more realistic that's going to happen, and is happening in large numbers, is for people who are Muslim by name only. We need to secularize people. We need to change their priorities to focus on this life rather than the afterlife, and that's what we teach you how to do on this channel. Okay, and that is something that you cannot ask any government to do, because we want our governments to be secular. This is something that me and you should do. The most that we could ask the government to do on this front is to teach children critical thinking skills in school, and also to introduce them with the history of all religions from a secular perspective. These are the two things that we could ask from the government, but the government itself cannot take a position for or against any religion. We can, though. So this is where you come in. But yeah.
I just think that it's so funny that I'm like the actual LGBT person here, and I'm like, you know what? I just want tolerance. I'm not going to demand acceptance. Like, then I'm more chill than you on this. I think that's so
Yep.
funny because personally, I think where the LGBT community went wrong in North America, for example, is by demanding acceptance, and it actually kind of drives me crazy. But that's a whole different conversation.
No, yeah, you're
Um,
right. We shouldn't. We should not demand acceptance from citizens. Okay, we should not demand acceptance from citizens of Germany or France or America or Canada. Okay, but we are also not demanding acceptance from. But when it comes to people who are not citizens, that's a different game. That's a different. That's completely different standards there. But also from people who are not citizens, we're not demanding acceptance. We're just telling them you're completely free not to accept all of these values that we have, liberal values that we have, but you're just not welcome here. Go be a bigot somewhere else. That's all we're saying. You could be a bigot. You could. It's fine. You could be a bigot. You could be a misogynist or a homophobe or you could be all of that. Just take all that shit to another shitty country. We want to keep this country liberal. That's what we're saying.
you're free to do that, and you're also free to leave. No. Oh my
Right.
gosh. So it'll be interesting to see how this legislation progresses. I think one of the things that Germany needs to do to um, address some of what's going on with them is they need to repeal and remove all of their blasphemy laws. Germany has blasphemy laws, and
Yeah.
blasphemy laws validate and legitimize anti blasphemy opinions. So, how can the German state demand that you accept free speech and demand that you accept blasphemy when they don't
It's
accept
insane.
blasphemy? They need to remove their
It's
blasphemy laws. Specifically,
yes.
Article 166 of the Criminal Code. You can go to prison for this shit in Germany, which is why oftentimes when you're tweeting
Shame.
spicy blasphemous stuff, that you will get notices that the German government removed your tweets from view in Germany. I know that Atheist
Wow.
Republic has received lots of those notices. It's the same way that you earn a badge of honor when you get a notification that Pakistan banned your tweets. It's like a rite of passage as an ex-Muslim activist, right? It's like,
It's
which do you
insane
get
that we
more
get.
often, Germany or Pakistan?
Yeah, that's insane that we get like blasphemy notices from Pakistan and Germany. Are you serious? Germany, what are you doing? What are you doing? You-
Yeah.
Unbelievable. You know
So,
how big of an ammunition that is to Muslims around the world when we're like fighting against blasphemy laws in Islamic countries. You know what they go like? Well, Germany has it. Your beloved liberal country has blasphemy laws. So why is it okay for them to have it and not us? Like, I mean, that's a false analogy because you want to go choppy on people who commit blasphemy. So that's or hang them. So that's not or imprison them or torture them, but still it still gives them some ammunition, which is insane. Anyways,
yeah.
I'll talk to you.
Let's go through the super chats we got. Tyler
Right.
Johnson just became a YouTube member. Thank you, Tyler, for
Ooh,
joining
thank you.
Satan's Minions, which is a great reminder. Guys, if you want to support the channel, if you want to support our work, and you want to support our shenanigans, and make sure that they continue, because the Atheist Republic team is not just me and Armin. We have a full group of amazing people that work for us to make everything we do possible, both on the English side of things, on our Persian channel, on our Arabic speaking channel, on our South African channel. Then you need to support Atheist Republic. And one of the amazing ways that you can do that is by becoming a member of the channel. And you can do so by hitting the join button down there. And then you get access to members only content and also amazing emojis, including an emoji of me licking the Quran. So if you cannot do blasphemy, emoji Susie can do it on your behalf. Uh, um, Shika gave a super chat saying, I hope y'all remember this old subscriber of yours. Of course, Shika, we remember you. Thank you for joining us and thank you for the super chat. Um, Gasian American gave a super chat saying Iron Age, not Stone Age. The Stone Age, oh, I don't know how to pronounce this. Hadenos Sani Confederacy practiced matrilineal inheritance and women in political power. Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for helping us get our historical epochs correct. Go talk to German Interior Minister Nina Faeser, okay? She's the one that needs the correcting. So Dave gave another super chat saying, in France, North African Muslims who are now French citizens did not want their daughters dating non Muslim men and attacked them. I don't know what the status of this kind of legislation is in France, but what they need is very strict laws that criminalize honor violence very specifically. Because a lot of people will say, oh, well, there's already laws that punish attacking your children, there's already laws that punish assault, attempted murder, gender-based violence, etc. But the thing is that when you have legislation that specifically criminalizes violence on the basis of honor and supposed honor offenses, it sends a strong message throughout society that this explicit form of gender-based violence is intolerable and will be pursued and prosecuted, which is why legislation against female genital mutilation is so important. We already have legislation that covers, abuse of children, et cetera, et cetera. But explicitly criminalizing this very specific culturally based act in harmful tradition is really important in creating a cultural shift that this specific harmful tradition is intolerable in society and we will go pursue it as such. It's not enough to just have it be covered under general laws. We need a cultural shift that says we're not going to tolerate this and we're going to name it and make sure we go after it as such. I don't know if France has those kinds of laws, but if not, they need to start implementing them and working on that. Because again, it's about sending that message and also giving local authorities the tools that they need to tackle specific acts of violence appropriately and not treat it the same way that they treat other forms of abuse, because the conditions are not that you can treat it like normal abuse. The way you have to deal with the circumstances of the victim are very different for honor-based violence. Sid Dave gave another super chat saying, this should be the filter. 1, commit to being okay with blasphemy and freedom of speech. 2, volunteer clearance certificates from Jewish and LGBT organizations. 3, clearance from ex-Muslim organizations. And 4, no hijab, parallel society. Okay, so I'm fine with everything except the no hijab part. I'm just too libertarian for that. I don't like the government
Wait,
having that much control.
it's not that much control, because this is not control. So, as a libertarian myself, this is not the government being involved too much in your life, because we want the government not involved in the life of the citizens. The citizens. We want the government's influence out of the lives of citizens. We don't want them because this is as a libertarian, the government is supposed to be protecting the citizens against any threat. And this is no matter how heavy-handed the government here is, this is not too much meddling in people's personal lives. This is, in fact, it's the opposite. If the government is allowing people with crappy ideas in, that is government meddling in my personal life, because they're bringing. Right.
Can I clarify in what circumstances you're talking about this?
No, any of this, any of these standards that the government has for letting what the filter is, as even if the filter is extremely harsh, extremely hard. Okay, this is not the government meddling in my life. This is the government meddling in the lives of people who are not yet citizens of the country.
No, I'm sorry. Can I clarify? Like, are you saying that if you're applying to be a naturalized citizen or just seeking asylum or
Yes,
refugee status,
any of them.
you're not allowed to wear the hijab?
I'm not talking about this. Well, I would comment on that soon because I'm going to have another extreme view on that, right? But before, without touching on which one of these I'm talking about, it doesn't matter which filter we're talking about. Let's say, for example, you're not allowed to do A, you're not allowed to do B. I'm not even going to mention if it's the hijab or if it's LGBT or anti-Semitism, whatever, right? Let's not even name it. Let's say the government is like, for you to become an immigrant or a citizen, you can't A, B, or C. Whatever A or B or C is, it's not too much government meddling, because when we want the government out of our personal lives, that we're talking about the citizens of the country. We're not talking about people who are trying to see if they could stay here or not. In fact, if the government doesn't have a filter, that is government meddling in my personal life, because the government is changing my personal way of life by bringing in people who do not match the values of this country. That is not too much meddling. Do you understand what I'm saying? We want the government out of the personal lives of citizens of this country.
No, what I'm getting stuck on is I understand your broader point. That I
Right.
understand. I don't understand in what circumstance you're talking about this being applied.
That's why I didn't name them A, B, or C. That's why I said A, B, or C. I said no matter how much the government increases the extremity of the filter, that is still not too much government meddling. You might say it's not a good filter, but you cannot say this is too much government meddling in people's personal lives. You could question the quality of the filter, but not how much meddling that is, because the government should be allowed to have as extreme filters as it wants for people who are not. As a non-citizen, you do not have the rights that of the citizens of this country have to the government not meddling in your life. Like that's a very unreasonable ask from the government to not meddle in people, like to foreigners. Like with foreigners coming in, like, oh, don't meddle in their personal life. What are you talking about? I'm supposed to protect you. Of course I'm supposed to meddle in, decide whether their values are okay or not. Of course I'm going to get a lot more personal with who these people are. I'm supposed to be the wall. I'm supposed to be the guard at the gate. Like as a libertarian, like there are some minimal thing that you want the government to do, and protecting the citizens is one of those. I want you out of my life. I don't want you out of the life of the person who's trying to come here. You have to be in that guy. You have to be up in his life, like up deep up in his life. What are you talking about? You have to be all over that shit. Get off me, get on him. Right? I
No,
don't
I
know.
get that. I get that.
Mm.
I don't understand the applicability in this scenario.
Well, I don't know how to explain it anymore. I think I've been very clear. So let
So
me
you
now go
agree
to this
in
scenario.
applying this?
Yes, of course.
Literally no
But even,
hijabs to people that are not naturalized or full citizens.
well, I don't expect the German government to do this, but if it was up to me,
It's
you have a
impossible to
job.
enforce that.
I know. That's what I just said. I said I do not expect the German government or any government to do this, but if it was, like, I'm talking about like dream world idealistically, I would be like, you have a job, you can't come in. You're supporting modesty culture. That would be my dream. I know this is a dream scenario that will not happen, right? Not only, here's how extreme I would get. Not only if you have hijab, you can come in, even if you don't have hijab, but you support the hijab without having the hijab, you can't come in. If you're somebody who says, again, you're not listening to me. That's why
I am.
you're
I am.
yeah. I'm not saying this will happen. I'm not saying this is a realistic. I live in the real world. I know what I could expect. This will never happen. Okay. I'm saying in my dream world, if it was up to me, okay, I would be like, even if you're not wearing the hijab, but you are saying that I think the hijab is okay. I support the concept of hijab. I would not allow you in either.
Wait, can I
You're
ask a
supporting
clarifying
my,
question?
yes.
Is when you're saying support for hijab, do you mean support for a woman's right to wear hijab or support for the
The,
concepts and values that give rise to the
the latter.
wearing of
The
the hijab.
latter. The
Okay, the
latter.
second. Okay.
Basically supporting modesty culture. If you support modesty culture, you can't come in. If you say that I see the point of this, I see the value of hijab, you can't come in. You're done. You're done forever.
Jesus
If
Christ.
you are, if you're, for example, a father that if you're a father that puts hijab on your daughters, you can't come in. You're done. You're done. Right?
That's different.
And this is not, yeah, this is not meddling in people's personal lives. Too much meddling in people's personal lives, because you're not I'm supposed to respect the rights of my citizens. You're not a citizen. I do not have any responsibility to you. You are coming asking for a privilege. You're coming here asking me for something. You're like, oh, you cannot meddle in my life. I can stop meddling in your life as soon as you decide not to come here. You're coming here and asking for something. Of course I can meddle. You don't want the meddling? Well, then don't come here.
Like,
You're
immigrants have
choosing the
rights,
meddling.
though.
You are accepting the meddling upon yourself by asking me to give you the privilege of living in my country. Of course I can get up your business. Of course I can. You could, because it's your choice to stop the meddling immediately by not asking to come here.
Holy shit, bro. Okay, well, Armin goes about 5 steps further than I would. There's some circumstances that we have, overlap on. That's too far for me. I don't like the idea of how this would be applied, the level of
It can't.
surveillance
I
needed,
know.
the
I live
level
in
of
the real world.
enforcement needed. It would just be government
It's,
harassment. I know you said that you don't expect it would ever be applied.
we don't have the structures or the standards in place for anything like
The
that I'm
structures
saying
to
to
implement
happen.
this would be a reverse morality police. Like,
It's not a no. It's not a morality police applies. Look at what we're okay. It's very important that we understand this concept. Okay, a morality police is a police that is enforcing moral values upon your citizens. Citizens. That's what we call a morality police. Somebody who filters people who are asking you by choice to come to your country. If you morally filter them based on their moral values, that how am I moral? How am I a morality police? You could stop this filtering of your values as soon as you withdraw your application to come to my country. That is not a you could not be here. If you want, you could not be here. That's up to you. That's not a morality police. When we talk about morality police, it's the police in your country going to the citizens and saying like, "Hey, reading that book is illegal. Having that opinion will get you in trouble." That's a morality police. Telling somebody, well, with that value, you cannot come here. That is not a moral. That's not morality police.
no. So what? A hijabi shows up to her immigration interview and just takes off her hijab for that instance, and then goes about the rest of her life wearing the hijab. What, are we just supposed to have police walking around like harassing women who like look a certain way or dress a certain way? That's what I mean. Like, the
No, we don't harass them. We look on the social media. We see that. I mean, in my imaginary world, that will never happen. Okay, we just see we do like somebody online doing some investigation without any harassment. We just put a stamp, rejected on their application. How is that harassment? Just reject. Is that harassment? Oh, you wanted to come here? Here's your application. A stamp of rejection is harassment? But she's like, yep, sorry. Here, we will so respectfully and politely will tell that person without any harassment. We will even give them a chocolate for their, we will give them a piece of candy, hello candy, for to be sweet to them, okay? And we will like thank you for your application, for wasting our tax resources, for us having to pay these people to go through your application. Here's the piece of candy, and here's your rejection notice. Bye bye. Is that harassment?
No, I don't support this because I know hijabis that are some of the most badass fighters for liberal values that I have known in my life and have risked
I
more and
cannot
sacrificed
gamble.
more than
I'm
I ever
sorry.
have.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, if they go through the interview process and they are fully in line with all of these values and they have proven it and they have the track record and perhaps it's even the basis of their persecution and claim, because I know these people personally,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
who gives a
Maybe,
fuck?
maybe some of these. Okay, maybe
There's so
some
much
of these
more badass and
hijabi.
hardcore about like these values and wanting to bring these values to their own home countries that they're willing to risk their life to do so. Who cares what you have on your head? They're doing more work than most people in my own country.
For every hijabi that might be like that, I have an ocean of hijabis. Okay, you being a hijabi is already an indication that you are a very likely not a liberal person. Okay, I am, as a country, I'm not going to gamble. I whatever signals that I could get that might suggest that you are more likely, not 100%, in part of that group that is not in line with liberal values, then I will take that signal and I will reject your application. Are there going to be exceptions that this person would have been a valuable person to the society, even though they're hijabi, even though this, even though that? Yes, sure. But I'm not going to gamble my country's future because of rare exceptions. Okay? Any signal that you have illiberal values, you're rejected. Anyways, we're going to have this disagreement. It's fine.
Nope.
It's based on numbers.
I value something called treating people as individuals.
I don't have the resources to treat people as individuals, because if that, how can I treat people as individuals when I have millions of applications? Okay, fine. If you could find, if one, I will agree with you. Once I have an AI system that could determine every single individual, like I don't have the resources, I don't have the people that could go check, investigate and predict with absolute accuracy who's going to be good for my country and who's not going to be. Once we have that system, maybe I'll consider your attempt, your method. Okay, but right now people are even with the harsh filters that we have, the most horrible people with the most disgusting views are coming to these countries, and it's not working. It's not working. So I'm sorry until we have the methodology or the resources, and I'm already wasting so much of my taxpayer money to figure this out, how to solve this problem, this huge problem. And you want to make me go and figure out, like, what do you want me to do? Should we send a government agent to be buddies with these people, each individual, and be with them 5 years? Like, who's going to pay for all of this? We can't. There is no. All of these countries have not been able to find effective filters that removes people with problematic beliefs from their country. So I have to go extreme. I have to go extreme. It's the future of my country. I cannot, for the sake of some few individuals that might be deserving of coming to this country, I cannot gamble the future of my country because some few people. I'm sorry. Yes, some people are going to be. It's we cannot be a help to other countries if we lose our own country. We cannot be like, oh, we have to think about this person or that person. We will not be able to help this person or that person if this country falls. You have to put the oxygen mask on yourself before you put it on other people. Yes.
Okay, we disagree. You're more extreme than me. We disagree.
Okay, that's fine.
If Fatima Sefari is coming, she escapes Iranian prison and is coming
Anecdotes.
to go begin her. Okay, fine, whatever.
Anecdotes. These are specific examples. I'm talking about millions of people. We're talking about anecdotes.
No, okay.
Don't get
You're way more extreme than me, and we disagree. That's fine.
okay. That's fine. That's fine.
Sid gave another super chat saying ban immigration from nations that have the death penalty from apostates, LGBT, government sanctioned discrimination against minorities, only allow asylum for political dissidents and someone under death threat. Um, yeah, well, this is the immigration policy that Sid supports. We've talked about this many times in the past. And our agreements and disagreements with this. Tyler gave another super chat, just $10. Thank you, Tyler. And it's just a little like Greek pantheon. Cute.
Oh, nice.
Sid gave
For
another
Olympus.
super chat saying 52 out of 56 Islamic countries ban marriages between Muslim women and non-Muslim men. How is this any different from Jim Crow laws? They don't see non-Muslims as equal, but want to come to non-Muslim nations.
Yep.
It is kind of an anti-miscegenation law. Not exactly, but bordering on it. Gasian American gave a super chat saying, Armin, would a good compromise be expedited citizenship for anti-hijabis and red tape nightmare and false promises for pro-hijabis? This is just unequal treatment under the law. I mean, this kind of stuff already happens all the time.
No, because they're not citizens. Equal treatment under the law is for citizens.
Well,
sorry, don't get angry. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay, let's not.
It's true though. Equal treatment under the law is for citizens.
I know, but you act like immigrants have no rights. Immigrants do have rights.
Yes, but the thing is that we're talking about is privileges. Immigrants have rights. You staying in this country is a privilege.
Conditional.
I learned that from you. Immigrants have rights. One of those rights is like, we're not going to kill you. We're not going to torture you. We're not going to harm you. We're not going to mistreat you. We're going to treat you with respect. There's so many immigrants have so many rights. All of those should be respected. You staying in this country is not a right. You staying in this country, that's a privilege. That's not one of the rights.
Sure.
I'm not saying I'm not asking for mistreating them. When we reject their application, you will do them with the utmost respect and be extremely friendly with them. Okay? Respect their rights while you respect their rights.
Sometimes when you say these things, it requires clarification, because when you're talking about the no hijab thing, I'm imagining a world where these women are being like monitored and tracked down and asked for papers on the street and harassed by authorities. I'm like, what the hell? So that's why I asked for clarification from you.
Okay. Yeah. No, none of the going in the middle of their life. Just like the agent will just do some social media search. Some people have like. Here's the thing: people usually have a social media footprint, and if they don't, that is actually suspicious. Okay, so that would be concerning in a different way. So you don't need to go monitor them. People already have left them enough evidence of themselves online for you to investigate. No need for harassment. I'm anti-harassment.
Oh man, I can just think of so many examples of women who are literally in this scenario because they're escaping community coercion, and they're in a place where in their previous country, in their previous history, in their previous community, they were forced to wear these things and they don't want to. And that's the whole basis.
I already clarified people who are being targeted and attacked by Islamic communities. Those are the exceptions that we could consider. I already clarified that, other than rare cases.
But I gave explicit examples, and you said no, it doesn't matter. The balance of the options, they're probably going to be gone.
Yeah, we could again, if we have the resources, we could look at very exceptional situations. And if I don't have the resources to go and investigate individual by individual, then I'm sorry, I have to use certain signals to just filter some people out. If I have the resources to investigate rare cases that might be an exception, then I will use those resources. But the money that I spend on those resources has to somehow be justified with a good outcome for my country. I'm not going to use taxpayer money to go investigate rare cases unless somebody could show how is my country going to benefit from these rare cases. And I'm talking in dollar amounts. I'm not talking.
I'm just way too knowledgeable about the circumstances of women trying to escape high control religions and communities to get behind that fully. Like,
Yes,
we
yes,
would.
but I'm also, but we're also way, but you're also, we're also way knowledgeable about the wave of immigrants that are coming and threatening the foundations of this country, based on the arguments that are cases of people who are deserving of this. You know, this argument that some people, this true argument that some people are deserving of coming to this country, based on that argument, the door is now open to a sea of migrants that are basically eating away from the foundations that this society is standing upon.
Well, I think there are way more factors than just that. Like, look at your welfare state first, personally, but that's a different conversation. Um, okay, so some more super chats. So Dave gave a super chat saying, "I agree with Armin. You can demand this of anyone seeking residency. They are not citizens yet. It is not a demand of existing citizens." I'm assuming you're talking about the no hijab
Mm.
qualification of your vision. Um,
By the way, I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat agreeing with you and some people agreeing with me. So because Susanna tends to notice people who disagree with her, I just want to mention that there are Susie, a lot of people are calling me an extremist. So please also notice the people who agree with you, because I know you tend to
well,
not
I
to
think
see
you
them.
are an extremist, but like I'm
Okay.
some of your
Okay.
opinions about things are so extreme. Um
It's an extreme
Lale
situation that we're dealing with. Go ahead.
Lale Kashani gave a super chat saying, "Hi, you two. Did you hear about Spain denying Israel's request to dock a warship, but Morocco accepting? This was like a couple of weeks
Yes.
ago." Yes, yes,
Yes,
yes, I
yes, yes.
did.
I
It's
saw that on.
because
I saw this because I follow very religious Muslim Persian channels, and they were raging about this. Like, what a world do we live in? That Spain, like, we have so much. Basically, was complaining about we have so much work to do with the Islamic world. That these non-Muslims understand what is right, but the Muslim world is so far away from the proper, like, from the right direction, that they don't understand. They don't have their priorities straight. They were crying about this. It was like, raging about this. That's how I saw it. That's where I saw this.
well, simple explanation, Layla. It's because of the goddamn
Lale.
socialists. Lale, excuse me.
Yeah. Yeah. But also Spain is anti-Israel too, so it's not
Because
just
of the
that.
goddamn socialists.
Yeah. True, true.
I mean, it really is that simple.
Good point. Good point.
They're destroying that country. Sid Dave gave a super chat saying lefties talk about straight white male privilege. That is nothing as compared to the privilege of Muslim men enjoy in an Islamic society, free access to all women, total supremacy sanctioned to God. They don't have free access to all women.
Leftists talk about straight white male privilege. This is nothing as compared to privileges that Muslims enjoy as free access to all women. Total to all women. What do you mean to all
No,
women? No, no, no. I mean, they have access to their women. Obviously, they don't have access. Actually, what the misogynistic way that they view women is that women are every woman is they act like every woman is another man's property. So you don't have access to another man's property. Obviously, you actually they're very very sensitive about that. That's the whole point of hijab. The whole point of hijab is that you don't have access to my woman. Yeah.
and saying Victor is saying to all women, as in they can marry any woman from any religion. No, that's not true. Not from any religion. Only from Ahl Kitab.
Yeah, only they could. So Muslim men can marry Jews and Christians and Muslims, but Muslim men can marry from three types of women. Muslim women can only marry Muslim men. However, so technically they're right actually, because they could take other women as slaves, not as wives. So if a woman, for example, is
But only
Zoroastrian or
in war.
Hindu and an atheist, well, no, not just in war, you could buy them as slaves as well, in peace, in trade. So if a woman is a Zoroastrian or Buddhist or Hindu or atheist, as a Muslim man, you are not allowed to marry that woman. However, you are allowed to take them as slaves, sex slaves.
Sorry for interrupting you, by the way.
No, no worries.
Okay, and last super chat we got was Susanna, would you approve asylum for a Sunni Muslim from Iran suffering discrimination by the Shia government, even though he may be anti-LGBT and anti-Israel? Okay, let me be clear, because I think some people are confused about kind of how I feel about this thing, because I am not familiar enough about specific rules and regulations regarding the balance of someone's claim for asylum, the balance of the danger they might be in, and the balance of their personal beliefs. Every country has different laws about this issue. There are international treaties about this issue, right? And I'm someone that I think respect for the rule of law is incredibly important, right? So when I'm giving Armin pushback on these things, oftentimes it is in regard to balancing respect for the rule of law and the rights that the international world has come together to agree that people in these situations may or may not have. So that's a large motivation behind why I give Armin pushback. Okay.
Right.
So
Can I
that
defend you?
let me finish my thought. So all I'm saying is that on a personal level, no, I would not approve that person. But in a given country that that person is applying to, I would defer to respecting the rule of law in that country about whether that person does get to receive that approval for their asylum claim or not. Now, we can have a discussion about if that law should be adjusted or that filter should be adjusted. I hope that clarifies why I give Armin some pushback on
Yeah, I
something.
agree. I agree with you because I also accept respecting the rule of law. I just think like some of these laws should be changed, but obviously, whatever the law is, should be followed. I also want to defend Susanna a little bit because some people are giving Susanna too much pushback, I guess, in the live chat. Because I just want you guys know that a lot of you, if you had done the work that Susanna does, because Susanna has been very active with some of the most amazing people. Uh, from in these Islamic countries. Like we are sitting here, you guys, me, we're just giving our opinions. We're just talking about, I don't know, liberalism, secularism, and Susanna has been working with people who are risking their lives for these values that we're just talking about in these Islamic countries. People who have lost family members, people who have lost their freedom, people who have been tortured, people who have abandoned everything they love just so that we could have a world that is a little bit more liberal. And when I talk about this, this filtering and these high, strict standards for letting people in, Susanna, because of her experience working with these people, she's thinking about them and her mind goes to them. And I think a lot of you, if you had done the work that Susanna has done, and if you had met these people and you have witnessed their sacrifices that they have done, you might even hate me for what I'm saying. I think Susanna is actually holding back. You might thinking because you would think these people, I'm personally attacking these people, and you would hate me for that, maybe, and I'm just, maybe I'm too harsh. I'm just doing a utilitarian calculation. I know these people deserve more, but I also, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm also thinking like there's a bigger thing that we might lose here. I know these people are valuable, so maybe my calculation is wrong. Maybe my calculation is correct, but you have to understand where Susanna is coming from. Susanna, it is coming from a good place, and her calculation, even if I don't know if it's right or wrong, but that's where it's coming from, and you have to respect that.
Yeah, honestly, Armin, it makes me so emotional to like even hear you say that, because like the people that I've worked with and what they've gone through, the people in our own Atheist Republic community, I promise you that there is only a tiny fraction of people who are watching this right now who would be willing to go through what these people have gone through and still decide to keep living. It's mind-boggling. and it has touched my life, like, very deeply and very personally. And, there's this one poem that I read once that I think about all the time, and I think it's called Home. The title of the poem is called Home, and I think it's by someone who's from a Somali refugee background maybe. But the poem basically says, like, no one would leave home. The point of this poem is it's saying no one would leave home under these circumstances in this way unless home was the barrel of a gun. No one would take their children into the sea unless the sea was safer than the land. It's an incredibly powerful poem, and it is so resonant with some of very, very, very close, very personally dear people in my life. They have survived things that most people would have decided to take themselves out over a long time ago. And maybe they do it in a way that other people would approve of, frankly. And part of me says, I don't care. Because if I was in the same circumstance, I would have done the same thing. Like, for example, Ayon Hirsi Ali. She openly talks about how she lied to get her asylum claim. If I was in her position, I would have done the exact same thing. I don't care what anyone says. And maybe someone would have said, based on how you looked or acted or what you believed at the time, we shouldn't have let you in. But then look at how hard she fights for her life and has sacrificed more than any of us, more than I would ever be willing to sacrifice in my life for the sake of these values that make the world a better place. But she didn't come in a way that people would approve of. She didn't behave or think the way that people would have approved of at the time. But she transformed her life because she was given the opportunity to experience a better society and now defends it harder than most people that are native to those societies. You know? So that has deeply shaped my life, and the people who probably would be denied by some of these filters or policies or whatever are explicitly the people that transformed my life from being like a radical militant leftist to who I am now. And so if I don't consider that when I'm thinking about these things, that's just not in line with my values and my convictions.
Right. So
But I'm also not
I
naive.
understand
I'm
where
not naive.
you're coming from. That's why I wanted to defend you against some of what people were saying in the live chat. And but some people, by the way, were saying sorry, Susanna, sorry for because they were taking aggressive positions against you. But I also want you. We don't have to agree, but I also want people to understand where I'm coming from, right? Because some people accuse Susanna of being naive without understanding all the things she has experienced, but they also accuse me of being heartless, when I'm saying. And I want you to understand that my position is not coming from somebody who doesn't care about these people. I care about these people, but my position comes from we cannot be a help to anybody if we lose our base. If these liberal countries stop being liberal, then they're not going to be strong enough to be a help to anyone anywhere. So I see these people and I understand that we have to help them, but the priority should be to have strong countries that defend these values. That should be the priority. And I'm not saying this as a lack of care for people's lives and the struggles that they're going through, but we need to defend liberalism in liberal countries to be able to do anything, to be able to help to anyone. If for the sake of tolerance we drop our guard, we will lose our base. It's
Yeah.
for the sake of helping people that I'm saying all of this.
No, I agree. And to quote Ayon Hirsi Ali again, tolerance of intolerance is cowardice. And I'm
Mhm.
tired. I'm sick and dead tired of liberals that are fucking cowards. I'm over that. We're done. Armin and I were like, no, we want to be liberals with some teeth. Okay, goddamn.
Yes.
Okay, anyways, let's keep going. Gasian American gave a super chat and saying, does Islam have a concept of bastardry? Is there a concept of being a bastard in Islam?
Yes, Zenozade, Harumzade. It's actually a huge insult. Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm having some memories of when it's usually Pakistani Shias doing processions in Vancouver, and the local Iranian community is freaking the fuck out at seeing these Shia processions in Vancouver, and they're just screaming Haramzadeh! And the Pakistani Shias are standing there like, what the fuck is happening? Because they maybe don't know that it's like an anti-regime thing.
So people know what haram means sin. Haramzadeh means somebody who's born of sin, which means a bastard, basically.
Yeah,
Somebody
or
who's
like,
born of
because
sin.
Zadeh is son, right? So it's like forbidden son,
No, Zadeh means born.
born of.
Zadeh means born of. Born
Yeah,
of, yes.
like Shahzadeh.
Yes, Shahzadeh means prince, because Shah means king, Zadeh means born of, so Shahzadeh means born of a Shah, which means prince. Haramzadeh means a bastard because you're born off of sin.
Anyways, Sid Dave gave another super chat saying Muslim outrage over Palestine is simply based on religious solidarity. They would not give a damn if Palestinians are Buddhists or Christians. I'm going to be honest, I completely agree. At least Western lefties do it out of pure humanity. Some of them do. It depends on if you mean like kind of a classic, like kind of bleeding heart liberal type, or if you mean an actual leftist. Because an actual leftist, I don't think does it out of pure humanity. They do it because it is fundamentally against the liberal world order that is propped up, largely protected by the United States and Western forces. That they hate to their core, basically for defeating Marxism. Frankly, it goes back to that. Marxism died in the 20th century. They can't get over it. They have nothing better to do because they don't have a positive project of anything to work for because Marxism died and proved to be only able to be propped up by authoritarianism, which they're supposed to be against. So that didn't go so well. So they have nothing better to do except do the easy work of just criticizing and pointing out the hypocrisy of what is the most powerful force in the world, which does deserve examination, criticism, and scrutiny. But that's literally the only thing that they have to offer, and they have no positive project to actually work for. So they don't do it out of pure humanity. They do it to subvert the world order that actually birthed the concept of human rights. I don't think it is pure humanity. And then, but there are the like the bleeding heart types where it is, and we don't like to see people have their heads blown off. Like no one wants to see that anyways. Well, some people do because they're sick, but that's besides the point. You know what I mean. Anyways. Tyler gave a super chat saying, love you, Susie. Thank you, Tyler. And then corrected himself with another super chat saying, Susanna, it's okay. You can call me Susie. Kenny gave a super chat. Thank you, Kenny. Kenny's one of our amazing volunteers.
It was a Shibu holding a heart when you were tearing up.
Oh, that's so sweet. And Sid is saying, Susanna, please don't take my question in a negative way. It's just a question, not an attack. This is a nuanced and complex world. Sid, let me make it clear. Sid, I know that you are in no way, shape, or form attacking me. I never, ever perceived you to be attacking me or talking to me in bad faith. Never even thought that for a second. Not even for a second. So I didn't take it in a negative way. But that was sweet anyways. And Sid also said, have you ever seen any Khalistani rallies? Yes, I have. Wait, let me tell the story. Last time Canadian Army was doing recruitment drive, there were last time Canadian Army was doing a recruitment drive, there was an Air Indian there were Air Indian plan hijackers being glorified. What do you think of that? Glorified by who? Okay, let me tell my story about the Khalistanis. So in San Francisco, there is a consulate of the Indian government right next to a gas station and a veterinary clinic. And I used to walk by it like every single day because I was going to get a bagel and and my coffee. I need my cappuccinos. And anyways, so I this is just like not even something I pay attention to. Well, one day I'm walking past and I see the Holistanis. And I had seen them before, but I didn't know what it was. But at this point in time, I am well familiar with the Holistanis. And I was like, oh my gosh, full ambulance chaser mode. I need to go check it out. I need to go talk to them. And I get
So
closer.
Khalistani, by the way, people who are, for people who don't know, they're Sikh people from India who are separatists. This is a religion. It's a religion that is a child of Islam and Hinduism. So Islam and Hinduism made love, and Sikhism was the religion. In India, these people, some of them, not all Sikh people, but the Khalistani people are people within this religious group that want to secede a part of India to make it their own state. But go on.
Yeah, they're extremists. And
They're
basically,
terrorists.
yeah, they are terrorists. A lot of them anyways. Um so they're doing a protest, and in their protest they have like a truck that they brought up, and there's attached to the truck is a trailer that's just a wooden platform where they have a whole thing that they set up and flags. How many people were there? Probably at least 50 to 75 people. And I walk closer. First, I start by going across the street just so I can observe from a distance. And there's a worker inside of the San Francisco Indian consulate just standing in the window, like wearing her sari, just watching them, being like, oh my God. And they're just outside chanting. They got their microphones, they're going crazy. So then I cross the street and I start to approach them. And then I'm immediately like, you know what? This is a bad idea. This is a bad idea. Because I sometimes like to go approach people on the street. Like I used to go talk to the Black Hebrew Israelites for fun. Crazy experience. Um, Also, I had to go to work, but I was
Yes.
immediately like, "This is
But
I
yeah. By the way,
abort mission. This is a bad idea." Because that group, I don't know. I don't think it was that day, but later that consulate got attacked by Khalistanis.
right. By the way, guys, these in Canada, the greatest terrorist attack in Canada was not an Islamic terrorist attack. It was the Sikh Khalistani terrorist attack. The Sikh people, and it's weird because we had the greatest terrorist attack, religious terrorist attack in Canada by the Khalistanis, and then after that they managed to get deep into the government. We have a huge
Mhm.
Khalistani problem in Canada. Even after
Yes,
the
we
greatest
do.
terrorist attack in Canada, they managed to just come in and take over a huge portion of Canadian government.
Well,
Um,
probably because most Canadians
and
don't even know that that happened.
that's weird. Yeah, yeah,
Super
and
weird.
and a lot of these people are actually sympathetic to the Khalistanis, which is insane. This is a terrorist group. This is a
Yeah.
cessationist terrorist group. There's a lot of, yeah. Anyways, we should
Anyways,
move on.
when you were saying
The-
that the Canadian government was doing a recruitment drive, and then there were like the terrorists of the most deadly attack that we just mentioned being glorified, I'm assuming you mean by like random other people that were at this event, or were they being recruited by that was like inferred by the Canadian Army? Regardless, it's completely inappropriate. Someone should be fired. Canada needs to tackle this issue because out of all of the conflicts in the world, why you would want to import this specific extremely toxic conflict and sympathize with it is beyond me. um
By the way, guys, the next news is um
Crazy.
crazy. But, yeah.
um Okay, so and then HF is saying, "Love you, Armin. No super chat. I'm a college student." HF, good decision. We support financial
Yes.
responsibility.
I
Um,
highlighted that. I start that to tell people not to remind people not to use super chats if you're struggling financially. Please do not support us financially. But thank you,
mhm.
HF, for reminding you. Thank you for your support, and thank you for making the responsible decision.
Peaceful Mountain gave a super chat. Oh, this is sweet. Saying you're the best, Susanna. You always hit the nail on the head when you talk about militant leftists. And Armin, I'm here whenever you want to try men. Hey, yo, pause. I don't think that's gonna happen because Armin is, no joke, the most aggressively straight person I have ever encountered, to the point that it's actually a little extreme.
Mm, mm.
Um,
Well, some people are gonna think like I'm a homophobe the way you say that.
no, I mean,
No,
well, I don't wanna clarify what I'm
yeah,
saying because it's personal information that I know about you, but, you know,
right.
I'm sorry, Peaceful
Yes.
Mountain, it ain't gonna happen.
Okay.
Uh if anyone thinks that you're a homophobe after you literally wanna kick out anyone who says that, being LGBT is a sin, then I don't know how to satisfy someone.
That's good point. Good
When
point.
I'm the LGBT person and I'm like, "Damn, dude, I don't know." David the Goliath gave a super chat saying, "Is there evidence that Buddha was a real person? What do you think about him? Do you think Buddha is
No,
more moral preacher than other religions?"
no. Holy crap, no. Anybody who teaches you to forego the pleasures of this life is completely changing the base on how any all our standards operates. It's completely it's very Buddhism is very, very destructive and harmful. Any ideology that teaches you that there is something after this life completely shifts the calculation and shifts the focus and uh, gives you all sorts of wrong conclusions based on that base of understanding on how the world operates. So yeah, I mean the problem with Buddhism is basically the problem with most religions. They, if you have a utilitarian calculation on how to increase well-being, that calculation will be completely off if you add an eternal afterlife to this one. Do you know who makes the most amazing, gorgeous, and other adjectives that I can't use here on YouTube, blasphemous art ever? We do! And for some reason, we are giving it away for free. Download them now using the link in the description before we change our mind.